Welcome to Habitation Station. This is the semifinals of the ZOTAC Cup. And currently spawning in the top right, he is the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to be the Red Protoss player first. And his opponent squeezing out a very long, very intense macro game on Frost, but now in Habitation Station. With that 1-0 in his pocket, it's going to be from Acer, MMA. And I'm going to lose my voice screaming over this series because it's been a fantastic one so far, and I don't expect Habitation Station to be any different. Now, we do have MMA sticking to his own base this time. If you guys missed it earlier, he did lift to the gold and won versus a Zerg earlier today. The first Terran player I've seen actually lift to the gold and win. Granted, a lot of people have tried lifting the gold, but usually with very unsuccessful results. So I'm already, if MMA's already won my heart over today. First is a really good player though, and let's be honest guys, you can criticize that game all you want, but for both players, that was really dangerous. There's so many times where MMA could have lost that. There's so many times where First could have won that. I mean, that could have gone either way at several different points, but MMA held it together, and in the end was able to win. The biggest thing I want to give a shout out to for First, before we get too far into this game, was his focus fire on the add-ons. That was such an intelligent move to make because it cuts out ghosts, it cuts out marauders if you kill the tech labs. If you kill the reactors, there's only gonna be one marine at a time. I really like the way First made decisions in that first game. Now we'll see how he does here versus MMA on map number 2. This is not gonna be a map, by the way, where you're gonna have Reapers at any point. I know a lot of Terran players do like to open with Reaper for scouting still nonetheless, but this is the only place Reapers can get into the main, so it's pretty easy to cover. Well, the SCV doesn't scout anything too scary, which is nice. And he actually scouts the base this time. And whoa, actually going to go for an engineering bay block. This is really irritating. But this can also be a huge asset. So one of the biggest things a lot of Terran players will fear, especially in more of like the amateur portion of StarCraft 2 than the pro portion, is if you have an opponent who goes quickly for a mothership core, quickly for a stalker, usually it's to come across the map to poke your base. Now, if he sees the engineering bay here, he's probably going to have to stop to deal with this first before he can send that stalker across. And for MMA, you can always just cancel this anytime and get a big refund on it. But yep, stalker revealed, mothership core coming across the map as well, sailing like crazy. Oh, MMA actually can't deal with this initially, guys. He'll have 2 marines out, okay, fine. But you actually need 3 to deal with a mothership core. 2 is not enough. It sounds so stupid, and even if you had like the world's most perfect micro, 2 simply doesn't cut it. So First can either camp the production here. Yeah, these first 2 are going to get annihilated. But as those extra 2 come out, he'll be able to deal with this a little more effectively. Mothership core, though, will take out 2 of the marines. And First is going to have to back on out of here if he wants to keep this mothership core alive. Well, he needs to keep the mothership core alive. Could pick off the SCV building the command center at the natural. A bit of a nuisance to say the least. And I forgot First Blood over there, so we'll pretend that was
First Blood
right there, even though there's no blood that comes out of an SCV. I gotta get better at this. This is the problem. Like, when I get out of the groove, I like can't get back into it when it comes to this sort of stuff, guys. So I'm super sorry. But a couple Marines going to keep the mothership core at bay for now. It's a little annoying too, because for First to squeeze this out, he's going to have to go up and around, and it runs the danger that Marines are here and waiting. I think he does that too. Could opt for a recall in a desperate scenario, but he's going to lose his mothership core. Time Warp does go down, and oh, that is a heavy loss to take early on. Now it's worth noting, a big part of what he was doing was the right moves. He was trying to use the mothership core to distract the Marines so he could walk the stalkers in from the front, but sloppy out of First is going to cost him here. And what's kind of scary is now it's the same as if MMA had forced him to burn an overcharge. Normally you have to spend, you know, 7 Marines, 2 Marauders, some Stimpack timing to force an overcharge at the natural just so you can drop again later. But effectively with the mothership core going down and it now having to garner some new energy, 1 overcharge is been used up. So in that regard, MMA's already got that sorted for him. We do have an Oracle coming across the map though, and MMA actually doesn't have a ton of barracks production like he's had in previous games. And if he looks to push, this could be problematic. A lot of Terran players are guilty of this, guys, where you're like, okay, I think I'm ready to go. Let's move out of the base. There's no way an Oracle's coming. It's past 7 minutes and nothing's in my face yet. But if he moves out and that Oracle comes, he's going to be in for some trouble. Now, it's worth noting, Widowmine can't one-shot an Oracle, but Widowmine's not in position. It's in the, oh gosh, it's in the medevac. This is gonna be awkward. Does he see it at least? He sees the Oracle. Okay, he hesitates to move around, but the Marines at home should be able to deal with this. They do not have stim pack, but there's simply the raw numbers necessary. Because of this, though, MMA is going to know there's probably not a good chance there's detection down. If First didn't see MMA moving out with a medevac, I don't think a cannon would have gone down. But he puts the cannon down, so now there's going to be detection for that Widow Mine, and MMA is now awkwardly caught with unable to do anything. Could move toward the natural as the cannon there is not quite finished yet, but of course he doesn't know this. And I think the Oracle did die while this was happening, yeah, so MMA cleaned that up pretty nicely. Yeah, not a lot this medevac can do, sadly. One cannon is going to be really nice at keeping that at bay for the time being, but back at home, MMA's putting down another bunker. I think he's... Okay, I was going to say, it's either a misclick or he's really scared of a counterattack, but his barracks are all now finished up. He's got stim pack on the way. I think he's pretty comfortable moving here into the mid game, but what he needs to see is this Robo Bay coming down. Oops, sorry, double click. So the robotics bay is not a big deal in and of itself, but knowing the order in which your opponent's playing the game is. So for a Terran player, from your perspective, if you see someone open with an Oracle, your guess is kind of 9 times out of 10 it's going to be Charge Lot, Zealot, Charge Lot, and Storms to follow it up with the +1 armor. Now there's +1 armor on the way, granted, but MMA just scanned and he sees the Robo Bay finishing up. So now he knows Colossus are going to be a big problem, or a potential problem. And how do you deal with Colossus? Well, you typically go to 4 to 6 medevacs at most, and then you have to start pumping Vikings like crazy. Because if you don't, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Alternatively to that, if you can hit before Colossus have their extended thermal lance, they have the same range as Marauders. So it's pretty easy to just stim into and get right in the face of your opponent who's gone for these sort of Colossus openers. But, yep, already started up really early, really nicely. Should be able to deal with any sort of... I mean, MMA can't do anything that a cannon combined with an overcharge can't deal with, right? There is charge on the way, and this is... First did it backwards game number 1, now he's doing sort of backwards here in game number 2, from what I'm used to seeing at least, but... Charge lots to accompany the Stalker, or sorry, the Colossus is going to be... I want to say difficult to execute, is how I'll phrase that, because... Charge lots are good generically, but Colossus, they're complemented by Blink Stalkers specifically to deal with Vikings. Did MMA see the pylon? No, he's patrolling around looking for it though, so he will stumble upon this one now. He wants to make sure there's not going to be those warp-ins that were such a nuisance last game. Because recall, that third base was under pressure probably about 12 or 13 times. Not going to happen this time though. Cleanses the Stalker from the watchtower, and he could try and move out if he wants to. He knows there's going to be observers floating around the map though at this point, so he can't really sneak into first base. In fact, taking a look at first vision, I really like the spread he's got. You can pretty much see anything coming from the northern portion of the map, but maybe not from the south. Zealot will be cleaned up, but of course it was trying to defend the pylon. Sneaky one over there as well. We do have the Templar Archives on the way, so I don't know if he's looking to immediately transition to Storm Tack. It's going to be a very expensive investment. It looks like actually the Colossus ate the Widowmine hit, funny enough. Where's that army looking to move though? MMA starts to move forward. I mean, okay, so he confirms the Colossus are out, that's cool. But he also probably saw that because it's weak, there's an opportunity for him to maybe dive in. But he can't with those 2 sentries there. If a force field goes down, he loses everything for nothing, and it becomes a not worthwhile risk to take. Kind of a neat reposition on that Widowmine too. He knew that First was going to find him down here, and that's what the Observer was specifically looking for. So hopes to maybe catch an army awkwardly later on in that 4th. We'll also block the base, I guess, for the time being. But a warp prism towards the north. First did, it's worth noticing guys, First did try and go for this last time, but he just got caught by accident by a drop from MMA that had moved out at the same time. So it's unable to utilize or Zealot mechanics in the main. This time he's going to be able to unload 4 and just go ham with those warp ins. And I think that might be a really good tactic because MMA, well, he's actually seen this, I take that back. So this is not going to catch him off guard. A couple SCVs might die. Yeah, cancels the warp in. Lots of Vikings that were made to deal with the Colossus are prepped and ready to deal with the Warp Prism, that's for sure. But I feel like MMA needs more medevacs at this point, sadly and ironically enough. He's preparing, and I want to almost say over-preparing for Colossus, but as we saw, first opened with the Colossus, but he kind of quickly transferred out of that. He went very fast into charge. He's got that +2 armor upgrade, and let's not forget Storm's being researched as we speak. So finish up just recently. So having Storm tech and swapping up the tech is maybe going to catch MMA off guard. He sees the Templar now, though. It's not like the Vikings become ineffective either as we get towards the mid part of the game. They're going to have two different goals. One is either pick off all the air units possible, or the Colossus, or alternatively just land on the ground and provide a bit of buffer room for the Marines. But another Warp Prism being sent towards the main. MMA's got to respond, but it looks like he went for a bit of a drop at that newly founded third while this was happening. However, this attention to detail... Alright, there's some SCVs kind of scrambling around. Marines do steam up here and they will catch this. Vikings are looking for that Warp Prism, but it's long gone. Even without the Gravitic Drive movement speed upgrade, Warp Prisms are still so fast. Once upon a time, a Viking could catch a Warp Prism that had started moving, but nowadays it actually physically can't, which is a real bummer to consider, if we're going to be completely honest, guys. But Ghost's out and available in full force. He's got EMPs, of course, because Mobius Reactor not too long ago was combined into the automatic making of Ghosts. So lots of energy on these guys. Going to be difficult for first. He's got a lot of AoE, but he's got a very small army. 1 or 2 EMPs actually blankets everything here, and he takes, quite frankly, the effect of this army down to 0 very fast. I think for MMA to push, it's scary, but it could just get the job done. Now, granted, a good portion of his army is actually not too effective. A lot of Vikings can take out the Colossus real quick, I guess, but beyond that, they're going to have to land. Wow, he just forced out a lot of energy out of first. First really overreacting this. Throws out the overcharge, throws out a time warp. Really scared about this attack coming. Lots of these ghosts caught in it, though. Can't quite get that second snipe off to finish the Templar off, but moving around it, trying to get those EMPs landed. Colossus giving chase, or giving retreat as the Vikings are giving chase, but storming here through with some stims. No storms left available. These Colossus are going to fall. Looks like MMA is going to bully his way in here. A couple Warpins going to try and hold this base, but Zealots aren't going to cut it. Colossus do go down. One last Templar coming down with a good storm. Going to try and heroically save the game. But unfortunately, the Nexus will fall, and there's just no army to speak of for first. 104 supply. He does have some Zealots going to town on the other side of the map, killing SCVs of MMA. That Warp Prism did still get utilized while this was going on, but he's got nothing left at home. This Nexus is going to go down. The cannon is going to fall. The Zealots are just kind of confused. Where do we go? What do we do? The Vikings have got nothing left to fight. Once the Colossus pops, it's going to be camped upon. It's dead. Ghost bonus damage. It looks like MMA will take out first. Ladies and gentlemen, a Terran versus Terran final. Absolutely guaranteed and secured. So it'll be MMA versus either Happy or Marine Lord. But big shout out to First. Really cool seeing him play. But really nice to see MMA win as well, being a Terran player myself.